My name is Cole Pollach. I'm a sales engineer for Rhino Toolhouse in the Great Plains region. I cover North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. I want to introduce, we have John Nigro from Sturtevant Richmont. He is the national sales manager, and Doug Reibel. He's the Midwest regional sales manager. John has been with the company for 18 years, and Doug's been with the company for 10. I want to stop for a second quick. Obviously, you can see I'm in my garage today. A couple reasons for that. My wife and kids are also home. My wife's working from home. My kids are doing their schoolwork here. And the garage is one of the only places, especially on a cold, rainy day like today in North Dakota, that I can find some peace and quiet. And number two, for whatever reason, it has great Wi-Fi signal. So hot commodities these days, I know, but you know, that's kind of what we have to do. I kind of have to adapt and overcome these situations, which kind of seems to be the theme lately with the current situations in the world. So kind of along those lines of adapting and overcoming, you know, manufacturing is kind of in the same boat. You know, we're in a similar situation where we're trying to adapt to Industry 4.0 standards and the need to collect more data and further air-proof our processes. Today, we're going to take a closer look at a great way to adapt to these changes and to overcome some of the challenges that we face daily. Our demo today is going to be focused on Sturtevant Richmont. It's going to be kind of around how do we revolutionize your process with a trusted click and torque, digital torque wrench to achieve an Industry 4.0 factory. Before I get started, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions for you to think about here before we get started. Number one, do you have any applications where batch count would be you know, beneficial to your process, where, you know, if you have 3 fasteners of torque, you have it set up that you're actually looking for 3 good torques? Have there been instances where you've maybe re-hit things, or operators come back after a break, they're not sure where they left off, and they're re-torquing the same fastener, potentially missing other fasteners that haven't been tightened? And lastly, would you like to increase your profitability by getting the most value for your investment? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, I think what we're going to present today is going to be very valuable to you, and you're going to find it very interesting. A couple admin things here quick. Once we start sharing the presentation that John is going to show, just go in and check at the top of the screen. There's going to be a spot where you can select side by side, and that'll allow you to see the presenter and the PowerPoint. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to go down into the bottom where the chat window is, type in your questions, and at the end of the demo, we'll go through and answer all those questions for you. With that, we're going to start with John. He's going to go through a PowerPoint that highlights the benefits of the Sturtevant Richmont technology, and then we'll follow with Doug doing a live product demo, kind of showcasing the tack wrenches, holding wrenches, and then how you can increase the potential of your Bosch clutch tools. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Doug and John.
Thanks, Cole. Appreciate it. Thanks for allowing us to participate in this program, and Doug and I are excited to show you some of these products. And as Cole said, we'll have a short, relatively short PowerPoint presentation. We won't kill you to death, and then Doug will come in and do the hands-on demos. As you can see, one of the screens is our controller live controller screen. As Doug is working, you'll see the results come out on there. So I'll go ahead and take over here and grab the PowerPoint, and we'll get moving on the PowerPoint presentation. There we go. Okay, I'm going to kill my video there. There we go, so we can do that. Fantastic. Outstanding. Okay, just we'll get moving here and talk about our theme for this presentation is back to the future. So we want to kind of talk about a strategy that was used a few years back, and it's not used as much now, but some of these new products we're going to show you today kind of bring them back in the vogue. And one of the reasons I think it's going to become popular as we move forward and quote unquote our new normal. We're hearing that all over the place at this point. We don't know what that new normal is, and a lot of us won't know until we get back into the plants and really see what the new normal is. But one thing I think we can assure is budgets that were set coming into this year may not look the same once we get back up running again. So this strategy we're going to talk about here kind of incorporates an old strategy in bringing in some of our new products, and I think it's something that you'll find interesting. So we'll move right through here, and we'll kind of talk about wireless torque tools, and reinvented the concept of not just wireless torque tools in general, but when you come to hand torque tools, we did with wireless solutions for simple or complex assemblies, and also scalable solutions, no matter if it's one cell or you want to do it globally, and also from simple poka yoke to full factory 4.0. 1999, we go all the way back then. Bill Clinton was president, and Sturtevant Richmont embeds preset click wrenches with radio that talks to a controller. Shoot and click strategy was predominant at that time, and the DC systems were coming in, but still there was a lot of shoot and click strategy around at that time. And we're going to show you here a kind of a back to the future. Fast forward 20 years, and torque assembly solutions continue to evolve from that time until now with the DC systems. But we're going to show you why we got a back to the future theme here, and I think you'll like what we have to show you. Shoot and click strategy. Speed is the arch enemy of accuracy. You can get speed and accuracy, but that comes at a price. You know, DC nut runners are expensive. The cost of the nut runner itself, the cost to implement it, and the cost of maintenance. These costs are going to be there, and they're always going to be there, and they're going to have to be considered once we get back looking at new projects. Shoot and click strategy. If the budget doesn't support DC nut runner finding, what are your options? Well, do nothing or go back to the future. Do nothing is going to be costly because your cost of ownership is going to go way up with maintaining what you have. But how do we utilize something that maybe was very successful in the past, and we can bring it back again, being the shoot and click strategy. Speed and accuracy are two things that you would achieve with shoot and click. Use a power tool to run down the fastener. Use a preset click wrench to finalize the torque value. Very simple to do. A click wrench is plus or minus 4% accurate, but it dependent upon the user if they used it right or not. There's always a chance of human error in there. So Sturtevant Richmont actually brought in the advent of our wireless click wrenches. We're able to actually control that human element with our click wrenches through our radios and our transmitters and the timers that we set on. Talking about shoot and click, Rhino Toolhouse offers a Bosch power tool that connects to the Global 400 or Global 400 MP. That has a radio built into it that will talk to our controllers. And it's similar to the radio that's on our wireless click wrenches. So it's basically going to be an okay, did it happen, did it not happen? So we're going to run the Bosch tool down to a preset torque value of about 80 to 90% of torque. You're going to get the okay, that happened, and then you're going to come back with an FM click wrench, and you're going to have it set at the torque desired to be a final torque. Click it properly, get an accept through the box, and you're going to be okay. So you're going to get the rundown, that was good. You're going to get the click back, that was good. Everything is good. Report it back to the system. But the one thing you're not getting through that is actually a torque value. You're just getting okay. So what would make that system a little bit better would be using our Global 400 system. In the Global 400 controllers, there's two types of controllers. There's the 400 controller and the 400 MP controller. And within the 400 controller, you have 100 P sets, you have 100 jobs, you have a tool library that can hold 16 tools, and you can also put 8 holding tools into there. We'll talk about holding tools in a second when Doug does a demo here shortly. And we're talking about the couple of modes of communication: open protocol, ToolsNet, Ethernet IP. These are all standard in both products with no additional charges. You see a picture here on the left, you'll see all the tools that we can talk to with these controllers. Digital torque wrenches, the red handled one are holding tools. You see the little gray piece down there next to the blue screwdrivers. That's the PST for your imported air tools, basically an air qualifier. And that little blue tool there, the two blue tools you see are screwdrivers. They'll be coming shortly in a few weeks. They'll have a radio on that'll actually talk to both of these controllers. And of course, our new Tack torque and angle control wrench. These are the controllers are fast, smart, easy to use. There is a short training curve in these things, and you will get actionable data. Quick story on that is we had a customer where we implemented over 40 of these controllers. First time they used them, first time they saw them, they put them in their process, and they were using just the standard FM click wrenches. We showed up, and they already were installed. They were already programmed. We sat down at 6:30 in the morning on the first startup. Didn't get out of the chair until 4:30. First shift ended. Not one issue, not one problem. The ME came up to us and said that was the easiest install and startup we ever had with any torque control system that they put into the plant. It's very easy to use and virtually trouble-free from the controller standpoint and our tools. The holding tool, talking about the holding tool here, it's a patented tool, and it's basically used as a backup. It's a backup tool to when you're either doing hydraulic fitting or any type of application where you have to have the tool in place while tightening. So what happens typically is, if you're on a hydraulic fitting, somebody puts a backup wrench on there, they snug it up tight, and that final torque, you usually remove that backup wrench to get the final torque And what happens there, you get a twist in the hose and you're going to have a leak. So what this tool will do, we'll be able to mate that tool up with the final torque tool in a piece set, combine them together so they must be used together at the same time. So Doug is going to show you how that works. This is a great way to error-proof any process that you have a backup tool that can lead to a leak or any type of critical joint that could be damaged if it's not torqued properly. Also, take a look at some of our Slimline heads we've introduced to go with either the holding tool or any of our tools. And you can notice on the left side there, that is the difference between a standard head on the top and a slim profile line, which will help with the holding tool and some of the tack wrenches we're going to show you as well. So let's talk about the tack wrench. This is kind of what we really wanted to drive home, was actually how did this come about? Well, it came about by using our FM click wrenches, our digital wrenches, and melding the two technologies together to create a torque and angle control wrench. So basically what we came out with is actually a digital clicking wrench. So it's a really nice product, and it's been well received, and people have been kind of looking for this tool. I've been with the company, as Cole mentioned, almost 18 years now, and we came out with a digital wrench early on when I was with the company. And the first question we had within 6 months of that tool being shown to customers is, does it click? Well, it didn't click, and now it does. Now we were able to build that type of tool. And reason we've been able to do that, and I want to share this with you, is this is great technology that is another patented item that John Reinertson, the president of Sturtevant Richmont, developed. And I think it's brilliant, and I think it's why our tools, especially digitally, are so accurate and so repeatable. And the picture on your left on the top is our shear beam design, is the patented shear beam design. If you take a look at that picture, notice in there you see the square cut out into the beam. And what happens there is when it's cut out, they lay the gauging inside that, and it's done on both sides of that beam, top and bottom. So what happens, the gauging is measuring the strain across that, not the bending. That's really, really important, because if I lay the strain gauge across the top of that, I'm going to measure the bending. If I measure the bending, it becomes very hand sensitive. So if I start moving my hand all around that wrench, I'm going to get different results. That is kind of a problem with any type of torque wrench, is even the click wrench. If I put the picture below that, that's the standard inside look of a click wrench. And a lot of folks have never seen inside the click wrench. And the only thing missing in that picture, when it closes up, is all the grease that gets put in there. But in the new tack wrench that we're introducing here is, you take a look at that front beam, that is gauged. It's not in this picture, but it's gauged just like the top picture. And that's where it comes back up, and the radio sits right on top of that opening. So your gauging comes right back up into the radio there. It'll have the radio, and it'll have the measurement instrument in there, and also have an angle measurement instrument in there as well too. Tool is fast. 2.4 radio that we have on there. We've had for almost as long, almost 15 years now. I think we have the 2.4 radio out in the marketplace. Strong, clear line of sight. We don't have to have a repeater. In any of our products, we don't have a need for a repeater. I can broadcast from the box to the wrench up to 100 feet clear line of sight. Not recommended. I've seen it done, but we're looking at probably about 40 to 50 feet is where you want to stay in. You don't want to really work outside of that too much. Speed and accuracy, torque and angle digital click wrench. You have the speed of the click wrench, the accuracy of the digital wrench. Our digital wrenches are rated either 1% or 2%. Click wrenches are 4%. And what we did with the torque, the tack wrench, is we rated it plus or minus 4% to the click wrench. Repeatable results are fantastic on this, but it's measuring two different things. We got to remember what it's measuring. It's measuring the click over of the wrench. You saw that mechanical picture. When the wrench clicks over, it's measuring that point. It's measuring when you last pull the wrench and leave your hand off it. So two measurements it's making, the click and the peak. Again, this particular product will all have interchangeable heads, just like any standard Sturtevant Richmont product. Here's a great picture taking a look at what the controller looks like, and you'll see some of these pictures as Doug does his demo. But on the left side, you're going to see the okay, right side's the not okay. But take a look at the box, and you'll see two lines of readings there. The top reading is the click, and I'm sorry, peak, and the bottom is the click. So you're going to see the peak reading, which is actually where I stopped pulling the wrench. The click is where the wrench broke over. So you're going to get two readings on this wrench. Very, very important, because one is going to measure the repeatability of the wrench, and one is going to actually, what is the state of the fastener when somebody stopped pulling the wrench. You don't get that with a click wrench without a transducer on that. All you're going to get, got to rely on a person pulling that wrench properly. Here, I'm going to measure both. And I'm going to report back up the string to the MES, the actual peak torque. The click torque will remain on the box for you to go back in and pull that data out to measure the repeatability of your click wrenches. You can go back and use that information to see how good your click wrench is performing. On the right, you can see where we got the reject is the peak torque was 17.38, was beyond the spec that we had set up there, so we got the reject. But notice the click. It clicked over at 9.80. So we had a really good result with the click wrench, but this user went past the click and kept on pulling. We see this all the time, and I bet you see it out in the plants here today. And we have a terminology for that. That's called German torque, good and tight. Not good, but it's tight. So we're taking a look here as we're looking at the screen that when we get the blue screen saying batch is complete, notice on the wrench, we have the blue light. So blue light's going to tell you once the batch is complete, boom, you got that and you're ready to go for to the next application. A couple different models we have from 150 inch-pounds up to 1,800 inch-pounds with the ergo version with a little longer handle to help that worker pull that wrench, but they all have a blue case, so you can easily tell what wrench is a tack wrench versus any of our standard FM click wrenches. Here, the compatible controllers for the tack wrench are the Global 400 and 400 MP. So we have the TCVE squared, and that's our newest controller. That'll talk with that. It's going to let you talk with 2 wrenches simultaneously and actually put up to 10 wrenches on that box at one time. There you go. Blue LED will pulse when a new piece set is selected. Doug's going to show you that here in a second. Tack takes airproofing to new levels for click wrenches. It absolutely does, having that strain gauge on there, repeatability, the peak torque and the click torque, reporting that both up. But it has 2 features on there, two modes of operation on that wrench. You're going to have the peak torque thrown up there, and you're going to have what we call torque and angle monitoring. So to be able to monitor if it's been double hit. So you can set a minimum torque amount that you think that's going to be set up to be a tightened fastener. So if it doesn't exceed that number and you get a reading at that number below, you're going to have a reject. And that's really important to let you know that, hey, that's been hit. Stop that guy from double hitting, or if they walk away from the process and come back and didn't know if they tighten that or not, they can walk up with this tool, go ahead and click it, and it's going to tell you if it's tight or not based on that measurement. And Doug is going to show you that operation as well too. That's what we're talking. Angle function of target torque reach without specified rotation, the fastening is rejected. The operator knows immediately what's going on. We call that the double hit protection. That's the TAM mode, torque and angle monitoring mode on there. It does add the extra layer of protection with this process on this tool. So we're talking about here is one other thing I want to show you to take the old strategy of shoot and click. When you adopt that Bosch tool and you adopt a tack and a torque and angle click wrench in there, what's going to happen is now I can actually take that and make it a 4.0 operation utilizing something like Global Host. It's a product we have that allows you to collect the data from either our controller or anybody else's controller or any other torque controller in the plant. It's a data repository. You can sit there on your network and you can collect from that plant where you're at or multiple plants within this country, outside the country, or wherever you want to. As long as you're on the same network, you can collect that data in real time and see what's going on. So we wanted to go ahead and just get through that and let you know what that was all about. And then we're going to get Doug in here really quickly here to go ahead and do some live demos for you. So we'll do the there we go. Got to make sure I get out of here. I apologize. There we go. Okay, Doug.
Okay.
Go ahead and
All right. Thanks, John.
give it a shot.
Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Doug Reibel. I'm the Midwest Regional Sales Manager based out of Northern Illinois. And thanks again for coming in today and taking some time with us. You know, we live in some crazy times right now, and hope everyone is safe, healthy. And focused here today is torque angle click wrenches. And just wanted to show you what the wrench looks like live. It's very simple to use in terms of putting the battery in terms of replacement of batteries. It uses a nickel metal hydrate battery. put that battery in there and you're ready to go to work. So you can see right now that wrench would be usable right now if I needed to use that. I'm going to illustrate 3 different ways of how we possibly could use the torque angle click wrench. Number one, I'm just going to use it as a standalone. I'm going to use it as a shoot and click, and I'm going to use it in a holding tool application. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have it in a torque angle mode, and I'm going to just start pulling the wrench. I already pulled, so that's great. So what I want to do is show you, and pull this wrench, pull it correctly. Now, here's that double hit feature that John Nigro was talking about earlier, that I have to go back and help Jill or help John, or 20 minutes later I come back and I got 27 bolts and I'm tightening up. Well, the challenge there is, you know, I'm 59 years old and my memory is fading daily. So if coming back to the right bolt sometimes, or the next bolt, can be a challenge. So by accident, if I went on that same bolt, I'm going to give the operator a reject. So you can see by the screen there. So it's got that double hit protection that John mentioned before. The next thing, the beauty about this wrench is you can really move quick with it. All right, I've seen some people on the lines, as you folks probably have. I call it they're running a wrench like this NASCAR race and getting tires off and on real quick. So I'm going to try and go pretty quickly in terms of the process of me tightening these fasteners. So I just tightened one. And just tighten the second one. So there's people that can tighten those things a heck of a lot faster than I can. I'm just an old salesman, but you know your operators out in the field, they can move pretty quickly. So what I'm doing now is just loosening up the bolts for the next step in the operation. And this is going to be the shoot and click. So the shoot and click that we're going to start out with is the Bosch battery operated tool. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to run this fastener down. So I got the accept. My wrench is programmed. I'm going to now pull the torque. Completed that. Going to move to the next bolt. Complete that. And the final bolt. Again, it's programming it. I don't have to wait though. I pull it, and I just completed that. So that's an example of the shoot and click mode that John was talking about earlier. So I have one more mode that I wanted to work with you on, and that is called our holding tool. One of our customers had requested that we develop this product because it's critical in many applications that they use we call it a holding tool. Some folks will just call it an open-end wrench, that they need a backup tool to be assured that it's sitting there. This is our holding tool. And if they don't use that holding tool, they could have misalignment of the hydraulic fitting or a fuel line, a brake line. So it's real critical that they have that type of backup tool in place. So what we've done is we've married these actual tools in a piece set. So if they don't use them in conjunction with each other, they will never get an accept. And I'm going to show you an example here. So the first thing I'm going to do is engage this tool, and I'm going to get a green light on it on the side. And I'm going to start pulling this wrench. And I got an accept. So by accident, I come back and say, oh, I got a busy day. And I come back and I start pulling this wrench. And I don't have that backup tool on here. I'm going to give the operator a reject. So again, you need to engage. And then you can move forward in the process there. So I did complete the 2 of the 3. I'm going to do the final one. Do it correctly. Just completed the process. So there's 3 examples of the shoot and click, the standalone torque angle click, and the holding tool and the torque angle click wrench, and all working together. So different applications. but it may be something that your customers or your folks in your assembly areas might want to consider. So, John, I'm going to pass it back to you. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Great job, Doug. Really appreciate it. You want to open up for any questions, and I'll throw it back to Cole.
Yeah, we have a few questions here. First one from Patrick. Will the new torque screwdrivers give an actual torque value or just a okay, no K?
The new torque screwdrivers will give a torque value. They will work with the same protocol that's in our 1350 digital wrench, so it'll give you definitely torque and angle information and feed right through our global controllers just like our digital wrenches do.
It'll go from, I think we're going 8 to 80 inch-pounds and then up to 100 inch ounces in terms of the two sizes that we're looking to come to market with very shortly.
Question from Andre. Will the tack wrench, with the tack wrench, does the peak torque get saved in the data on failures as well?
The peak torque is the final torque that is shown, accepting or rejecting. The peak torque is what is recorded.
Can you loosen a fastener with a torque wrench if peak is over desired torque level?
Yes, you can. With that specific wrench, you can go ahead and go back and loosen that up. That's correct. But it's only for that fastening that if you made an error on that fastening, it's not to be used in just loosening bolts up. But on that particular fastener, you went over, you overshot it, you want to loosen it back up, that's fine, and then retighten it back.
Perfect. How many programs can the Bosch tool have set?
Well, that's kind of a slave to the Global 400. So it could work within. I have 100 P sets. So if it could be tied to many different P sets within there. So again, it's not driving any torque value. It's just saying, okay, this happened.
It's our understanding that the Bosch tool is pre-done in terms of setting of the torque. So it's acting like a click wrench.
Correct. Yeah, the Bosch tools are preset to single torque. You can obviously have up to 16 Bosch tools in the controller at any given time, but you could set them up in different jobs if that's what you're asking.
Correct.
I've got a pricing question here. What is the ballpark price difference between Tack and the Exacta 2 1350?
That's a good question. Yeah, approximately $500 to $600 difference, I think.
Do you offer charging cradles?
No, there's no charging cradle with this particular product. Actually, we just have it with a rechargeable battery, and also it would come with a small charger, little, what is it, eight position?
Into a 4 or 8 position charging station, that's a separate item. So typically what we're telling our customers when they work with the tack wrenches, change the battery every morning, and you should be good all day. You know, we've done our initial test that we're getting about 15 to 17,000 cycles out of one battery charge. But the bottom line there is, you know, be on the safe side, change out the battery once a day.
Can the Global 400 handle a mixture of tools, or does it have to be one product family only?
Yes, the Global 400 can handle a mixture of tools, be it the digital torque wrenches, obviously the Bosch tool, the Tack Wrench, 1350 digital wrenches or 1250 digital wrenches. It can handle many different types of tools, and actually the PST air qualifier as well too.
You also have the ability through the I/O to be able to tie some tools in that as long as they have I/O capabilities, that you could tie in an additional tool through the I/O functionality on the side of the controller.
Perfect. Question from Ryan here. How long does it take to change a battery in the tack wrench?
Just a few seconds. Let Doug show you.
So right now we have a clip. Take the battery out, put the battery in, put it back in, and you're ready to go to work.
And the nice thing too there is you saw that the lights were flashing. You get a green light flash to tell you that battery's alive. If you put a battery in and there's no green flash, it's telling you that battery's dead. So it gives you immediate feedback if the battery is working or not.
Kind of a follow-up question to the battery. How long is the battery life?
It's a good question, and it really is dependent on applications because there's different speeds of application. How many times is the wrench actually cycled? I think typically right now we're looking at about well, on a high tack speed, you're probably looking at about 50,000 to 70,000 cycles right now before you have to charge. But again, then again, it's all dependent on on the application, how often the tool is being used. That drives the battery life.
You should, if we're talking and jumping in on it, thanks, John. If you're looking at probably a year or 2 year of battery life, we're using nickel metal hydrate batteries in here. So the typical life expectancy depends on the charge. You're going to get maybe 300 to 400 charges out of those batteries.
And so, and utilizing the battery charger that come with the tool, people use other battery chargers. We really can't, it's hard to control that. But
Will the Tack give battery life feedback to Global 400 like the SLTC wrenches do?
yeah, well, within the Global 400, yes, you can go back and take a look in the screen that will tell you what the battery strength is. Also on the screen itself, on communication back and forth, there's an icon that'll tell you it'll be green or red to tell you if how that battery life is happening in the communication with that wrench. So there's a couple different ways to tell you that, hey, the battery is either good or it's wearing down.
So on the controller itself, green is good, orangey red is questionable in terms of the battery strength, and red, you want to change that battery out. And that's one of the icons that's on our controllers.
Perfect. We'll give it just a few more seconds for any last minute questions. Well, I think we're good, guys. Thank you very much, Cole.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, guys, thank you. John, Doug, thank you very much for being a part of our demo today. It was very informative. We greatly appreciate you participating. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in today. Checked out the technologies that we're kind of showcasing here today. If you have any questions or want to see any of the products we've shown today a little closer, be sure to reach out to your local Rhino Tool sales rep, and we'll be happy to meet with you and discuss those a little bit further. Join us again on Monday. Monday we'll be talking about Doosan Robotics and the 5 key benefits to automating your process with cobots. So that'll be an exciting demo. Dylan Smith will be participating in that one on Monday. So we'll see you back here again then. That's it. Everybody have a great weekend and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.